Today, the House approved a bill that would decriminalize marijuana. So does that mean that marijuana is now legal on a federal level, and that you can just go out wherever you live and smoke pot and you won't get arrested? Well, not necessarily, so hold off on that. The bill that passed today was called the MORE Act, and it stands for Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, which would not only make marijuana legal on a federal level, but also facilitates canceling low-level federal convictions and arrests related to marijuana. And what that means is that if you are federally convicted of some marijuana possession or something along those lines, this act would kind of expunge that and you would be free to go. The vote was largely along party lines, with Democrats voting in favor, but Republicans opposing. And because of that, and because of where Republicans stand on the legalization of marijuana, it does not seem likely that it's going to pass the Senate. So if you're really looking forward to the legalization of marijuana, federally speaking, well, you may have to wait a little bit longer. Even if it does go to the Senate and they vote against it, this is still something that's going to come up fairly frequently because we've been hearing about it for quite a while. It's one of those issues that just really won't die, it'll just keep coming back. One part about this bill that I thought was a little bit amusing was that it said, the bill specifically adds incentives for minority-owned businesses to help them enter the cannabis market. And I thought it was a little bit funny that the bill was specifically going to help out minority businesses to, start selling pot. It just sounds funny that the government is going to be doing something like that. That being said, if the MORE Act did go to the Senate and somehow passed, which doesn't seem likely, that doesn't mean that every state will have to enact a legalization of marijuana. It means it'll be dropped down to the states and they get to decide what they want to do. So it'll certainly increase the number of states who have legalization of marijuana, at least over time, but it doesn't mean it's going to be legalized everywhere in the United States. It just would be legalized federally, but that doesn't mandate that states also recognize the legality of marijuana. Now at this point, I haven't actually told you my position here, and this is one of those issues where I am a little bit torn. On the one hand, the libertarian in me wants it to be legalized because who am I to say what they can do, even if it's a substance that I disagree with? On the other hand, I do recognize that there are externalities to marijuana, that there are some questions, and just being against marijuana legalization does not mean that you hate people who smoke pot or anything like that. It just means you recognize that there are things that we need to find out first. For example, there is evidence to suggest that legalizing marijuana does have an impact on traffic safety because more people are driving under the influence. This article looked at Colorado 7 years after they legalized marijuana, and they found that while DUIs are still mostly related to alcohol, marijuana's problems behind the wheel have in fact increased, which is just going to happen if something becomes more readily available. Furthermore, the American Medical Association has come out and said that they are against the legalization of marijuana. Specifically, the AMA overtly opposes legalization of marijuana and endorses warnings emphasizing the dangers for abuse and misuse. So there are medical associations and medical professionals who are against this legalization. All that being said, I am still at least partly in favor of legalization. I do think we need to have a distinction between marijuana and other harder drugs like meth. Those are not the same thing and they shouldn't be in the same category. We should all at least be able to agree there. But my other point is that yes, I recognize there are issues around marijuana and perhaps it'll increase DUIs and things of that nature, but that doesn't necessarily mean it should be illegal. I mean, there are plenty of things that you can do to harm your own body, including smoking, that is not illegal. And drinking, you can harm other people because, as we saw in Colorado, even though marijuana was legalized, driving under the influence of alcohol was still a much bigger problem than driving under the influence of marijuana. But the solution, in my view, is not to ban all of those substances. It didn't work in the Prohibition, and I don't think it would work now. So my point here is, just because a lot of people, myself included, don't like marijuana, just like they don't like smoking or even drinking, that's not a strong enough case to make it illegal. You need to have a strong reason with evidence to make something illegal. It can't just be, I don't like it and it's gross and there's some possibility of harm, because again, drinking under the influence of alcohol is significantly more prevalent than under the influence of marijuana. So we need to kind of weigh our options here. If you have a very strong opinion one way or the other, go ahead and let me know why in the comment section below. And who knows, maybe you can sway me. Because once again, I'm a little bit torn on this one. While I do lean towards legalization of marijuana, I think if you have a strong enough case and you can back it up with evidence, you could convince me that perhaps it should remain illegal. But go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And before you take off, be sure to like, subscribe, and all those things that YouTubers always tell you to do. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.